Hey guys, this week we're going to try to not warp the crap out of a panel. Hey guys, welcome back. This week on AMS, we're going to build the last of the major patch panels we need for the passenger side. Behind that wheel arch that we finished installing, there's a lot of rust damage. And additionally, like I talked about last week, there's just something about the shape of everything on the stock travelall that I don't care for as much. So this week, we're going to build a panel to take care of all of that rust and try and reshape that back corner to something a little bit more my speed. One of my big goals is to not completely warp the panel as I'm doing it. So I'm going to put a lot more effort into really trying to control that heat. I still don't think I'm all the way there to understanding exactly how to do all of that to keep warpage totally out of the panel, but I think I can do a much better job than I did last week. If you didn't catch our last episode, go ahead and click the link up in the corner. Additionally, I'll throw in a link for the playlist in case you're new here so you can go back and catch up as much as you'd like. If you're enjoying what you see, having fun with the shenanigans around here, please tell your friends, hit that subscribe button for us. We appreciate the support. Anyway, let's get to it. So I finally managed to get around to pulling the rear bumper off. It's still twisted all to hell, but I wanted to mock it up because I need it to figure out my rear body lines. So we've just got it hung from the back of the travelall in approximately the place it's going to live. So, standing at it, you're at about my eye level height. And you can't see any Tahoe really underneath it. If we get down low, you can kind of start to see some. Right here is actually the very bottom of the Tahoe bumper. And that hangs out just a little below the level of the travelall bumper when it's mounted, I think. But it's also black and curved. A little bit of new black spray paint under there. Turn it all flat, and I think that will visually disappear. So I'm not going to try to relocate the bumper or extend this body panel or anything. I think it's all going to go to the same place. So with that being said, I also did this. Because my bumper's not moving, my factory body line is not moving at the rear. So I needed to draw a new line to there. So this was my attempt at it. I filmed some of making this thing and filmed some and didn't film other parts just because. This is 2 panels just because that's what I had. Still trying to make it work with the metal I can find. These are pieces of Dakota. And so it's not perfectly fitted yet. I've still got a lot of touch up to do to fit it right. But with that down, you can see, no, I'm not quite fitted here, but I'm aiming at this corner, so it'll actually sit up a little farther. As well as you can see, I'm trying to return the whoopty that's in there at the back while keeping the smooth curve that the Dakota gives at the front. So I'm trying to figure out a good transition through here, and I plan to put a seam in across here, just right at that hard body line, so it will become probably a little bit more smooth, maybe just right underneath that body line. Maybe I'll even have to step my weld, I'm not sure. Put a step across there. So I've still got to figure that out. But I pulled the travelall out. Just so I could look at that line and make sure it looks all right. And to be honest, I'm actually pretty damn happy with the shape. Now the question is, can I actually execute that idea in a way that still looks halfway decent? The next piece I need to figure out here in this back corner is the inner fender well. Fitting all those pieces together. Since I had to cut out the Dakota fender well and the Tahoe fender well, I now am in a place where I can rethink how I'm assembling them. I think I'm still going to use both of those, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I originally planned. But for now, I'm just trying to figure out what that means. So I've spent about 2 hours trying to figure out this problem and how best to solve it, especially down here inside the fender wells, in here, the floor dropouts, and I've gotten nowhere. The only thing I've accomplished is I cut out the Tahoe dropout that was back here. I'm going to build my own, I think, but the more I look at it, the more it looks like a system that's going to be integrated with the new floor pan I have to add back there. So what I'm getting at is I gave up. I am going to not worry about the inner wheel well. I am going to add that body panel that I showed you guys in the back and reconstruct this back corner. And then I'm going to move on to the other side and start this whole process over, back with repairing door sills and attaching them to the floor pan. And then once we've got all of that figured out, I'll jump inside and start figuring out floor pan, fender wells, etc. I don't think there's any other way I can do it. And frankly, I've wasted like 2 hours cutting up cardboard and trying to jam things into place. I'm getting nowhere. It's time to move on. So I've got that panel all tacked in now. Right here, ended up with a lot more curve than I really wanted it to. It almost comes down and sticks out from the body, which is definitely not how I wanted that to go. But I think how I'm going to try to fix it is by using the very same principle that caused me so much trouble up here. I'm going to try and just dump a fair amount of heat into that section where it's bowed out the most and I don't want it, and see if I can just use that heat to pull that in and shrink it a little bit and straighten that out. That thinned that profile quite a bit. It still seems a little jowly right through here across this line, but I don't know that there's a whole lot I'm going to be able to do about it at this point. I'm not good enough at metal shrinking to do much except try and hit it with the welder and see what happens that way. So maybe I'll let a little bit of extra heat get into right here, but otherwise pretty sure I'm happy with how that's turned out and the curve shape that it has to it. But I think I'm going to back the travel all out of the garage one last time and just look this all over before I 100% lock it in. See if there's any quick changes I need to make. But just to show you guys, you can see we shaped it to the natural contour of the Tahoe, the Travelall right there, so that it retains that back curve in the body. And then there was some just smooth curve up here in the wheel arch, and so we just contoured this to match that shape and flattened it out a little bit, so we end up with something that goes from that back curve forward to that round curve. So let's get this thing out of the garage and make sure it all looks proper. So there it is from a distance, and you know what, walking around it, walking up to it, I don't think I have any real complaints about that shape. Everything there looks pretty darn good. I like the heights. So we're going to move forward and get that locked in. So with this panel more or less welded in, we've got to just finish the bottom of this curve here. Unfortunately, Some idiot with a grinder got overly rambunctious, so yeah, now I'm gonna have to go in there and fix that. So I've got to just patch in a little piece here. Comes almost all the way back. These kind of V together slightly once you've got them all lined up. So I've got to put a patch in there. Then we can finish the main welding, and then it's on to getting it ground back. So I finished a lot of the grinding, but unfortunately, the way I welded this together is no good. It comes across kind of flat and then kicks up where these panels join, and that's just not gonna work. As well as it's pretty dipped in along here and along here, so I've got to do some hammering along this portion to get all of that out. And then I think I'm going to have to cut this. I think I'm going to have to cut this and redo that section. So, time to do that. Well guys, that's all the time I have for this week. We're almost there. This is all pretty much welded in, needs a little bit more hammer and dolly work, maybe a pinhole or two still filled in, and then I need to do some welding under here, and a little bit more back here. There is some work still to be done inside the fender well, and maybe a little behind here, but I'm just going to leave that until much later. I will have to do that on the other side as well, so what will probably happen is I will pick this thing up on the lift, take the wheels off, and then just finish up the little things sitting around the wheel wells. I'm fairly happy with how this turned out. There's still a lot that I have to learn about sheet metal work, although this patch went significantly better with significantly less warpage than the other one did. But again, I still think there's a little bit of hammer and dolly work that I need to put into it. As well as, I'm not as happy really with this final shape as I thought I was going to be. It's not bad. I'm going to leave it in place, I'm pretty sure. But it really doesn't match the front side of the wheel arch very well at all. And the front side kind of curves in and then kicks back down. This one just sort of has a smooth curve where right here it should have curved in harder, and then this kicked out a little bit flatter at first. But I don't know that I have what it takes to cut that again. I would probably have to cut this entire seam, reshape this panel so it's a little bit flatter with a little less curve in it, which means that the bottom curve is going to end up in the wrong place. So basically I would need to remove this panel and start over, I think, and I just don't have that gumption. It's not bad, it's just not as good as what I think I would have preferred. Also, it's really hard to tell how much the trim panel, because there's a trim piece that will come all the way along here, same as you see on the doors up here. It's hard to tell how much of everything I've done that's really going to hide, so you just won't even be able to tell that the shape here is not a shape I prefer. So that's just another thing for the future. So next week, we'll see about getting the very last few details we can wrap up on this side taken care of. And then from there, I think we're gonna flip this thing around and back the travel all in and just start doing everything over again on the driver's side. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll catch you on the next one.